So on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. God, don't get used to those Saturday games because the Europa Conference starts again soon. But Saturday, 3 o'clock, we welcome Nottingham Forest, their first time to the London Stadium. Woo! Lucky them. When we play Forest in the Premier League, and as always, we try and get an opposition fan to come on and shoot the breeze. Is that the right expression? Shoot the breeze about how the Forest season's going on so far and that type of thing, getting their view of West Ham and all that type of stuff. So we've got Greg. We're bringing in Greg from, there he is, Greg from Forza, Garibaldi. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, yeah, I'm okay at the minute. Full of happiness of being in the Premier League still. I'm not sure how long it'll last, but yeah, we're in good spirits.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, as we were saying just before we started, the fact is it's been like 20 years in the wilderness, so to speak. So every game is you're appreciative of it, aren't you, really?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we went to Man City away and lost 6-0, and I know a lot of our fans weren't, but I was still smiling my way through it. I just thought you got to make the most of it. We're not sure how long we're going to be here, but suddenly now we seem to be picking up points. It's getting a lot more serious, but still loving it. It's been a long time coming, so we've got to appreciate it.
It has. And I think you're right. I think sometimes you don't necessarily appreciate what you've got until it's gone, really. Do you know what I mean? So, you've got to enjoy the season. And as I said, by the looks of it, you're not going to go down this season, are you, at all? So
I know what you're doing there.
No, not at all. No, actually, not at all. Actually, because I think, there's, and people are all like, I'm already triggering people already to type it in, but I don't think we're going to go down this year either. But I don't think you're going down at all at the moment. I mean, there's two ways when clubs go up. They either do like a Burnley and don't really go for it and come back down and just yo-yo for a bit. But you guys have, as soon as you got promoted, that was it. You went for it. And obviously went for it in 30 players, and I think actually fair play to you, and I think a lot of people mocked you, and I think you probably got, because of how many you had all the memes of all the, of the, I don't know, Squid Game, and you said, oh, that, the Nottingham Forest, pre-season team meeting or whatever. But I think you bought some good players, really good players in that. I wanted, definitely.
Not necessarily the ones we thought were going to be the best have come through and been absolutely superb. I mean, when we talk about like Squid Game and stuff, God, if we hadn't assigned those players, God knows the mess would have been in now. Some of the unlucky injuries we've had, and we're down to our final two centre backs now. We've literally not got another centre back.
It's Squid Game.
Yeah, so like the centre back we did have, he's not in the 25-man squad. Steve Cook. So it's God, these two have got to stay safe. But in January, the players we bought, as ridiculous as these names were, and I never in a million years thought we'd be able to get like a Navas on loan or players like that.
Yeah,
they've been critical. They've been crucial. He got us the win against Leeds. He got us the draw against Man City. That's 4 points there. I mean, what that could do at the end of the season, even if he does cost us God knows how many thousands a week, it's going to be worth it if we stay up.
Yeah. I think it was quite funny, as I said, the club picture there where he's in like an armchair already. It's like
those flags that he's got are our fan groups, and the club just they went missing for a few months, so we've tracked them down to the club because of these pictures.
Okay, yeah, we do that as well. Like London Stadium, they put all over the club, sort of like the fan groups flags around it trying to make it more West Ham-y. Doesn't work, but anyway. But Keylor Navas. I mean, he said, we've obviously with Hendo out and stuff like that. Someone like Keylor's come in and brilliant, as you said. Your situation now is almost like a complete role reversal from West Ham, and we've had so many injuries this season. I know you have as well, but actually, I think it's the first time this weekend we could have a fully fit squad this season, which is. Every West Ham fan is waiting until someone breaks down in 30 seconds, like Danny Ings would do on his home debut. But out of those sort of group, you spoke about Navas, and obviously we said Henderson's out, and you said lots of centre back. What other players from that group of 30 have impressed you so far this season?
By a country mile, the one player, although a lot of them have been very good, Morgan Gibbs-White has just been tremendous. And he came with so much stick from the Wolves fans. I've got Wolves mates. Not worth the money. We've had your pants down. Constant. Now you go online and you see the Wolves fans saying, we can't believe we sold him and we need him and we replaced him. He has been unbelievable. And the way he's brought on players like Brennan Johnson, 21-year-old kid who was on loan at Lincoln a couple of seasons ago, he's developing him into like Wales' next best big thing. And it's just so good to see. And they're the Cooper type of players. He's England and the 17s manager. He loves getting the youth to show how good they can be, and you can see the potential. And I think with Gibbs White, that was his signing. That was his signing of the summer that he desperately wanted. And I think we paid a little bit more just because they knew how much we wanted him. And it has been worth it, and it will be if we stay up, obviously.
Definitely. Not this man.
Jay Lings, I love him. I won't hear a bad word about him.
The love affair that ended so badly for West Ham. Really, it's like one of those girlfriends that you break up with. You think, I might get back with her. I'm still going to get back with her. I'm staying up for 18 months. We were like, should I get back? I'm going to get back with her. And then she sort of turns up and goes for a newer model. And and actually, to be fair, as well as obviously Jesse Lingard, you obviously signed another West Ham old boy in terms of Cheku Kouyaté, who's a big fan favourite of West Ham. Who's love him. Oh, I had some great times with Cheku Kouyaté. Such a lovely man. He's such a lovely man, and a great player as well.
Yeah,
great player.
He was playing superbly for us before the World Cup, like really well. A player that some people thought, why have we bought him? And he was really, really playing well. He's Senegalese, I think.
Yeah,
he got injured in the World Cup, and the stories coming back to the Forest press was that they didn't look after his injury out there. They just wanted to get him on, and it's caused a bit of a setback, I think. And we did miss him. We signed players to replace him in the winter. Obviously, that's what everyone does, isn't it?
Well, I think so. Yeah, not so much with us at the moment, but yeah, I know what you mean. But he's a great team player as well, and he's one of these players that when he went, we'd automatically straight away got a couple of injuries, and we could have kept him. It always happens with us. We get rid of players, like we got rid of Dawson, obviously went to Wolves, and then we had a few centre backs all fit, and then they all got injured again. It just is typical of West Ham at the moment. But it's I think one of those things with Cheku Kouyaté. I spent a lovely time as what I do at the club, and there was once we were at the old ground, and we were doing a Europa League qualifier, playing some random team from Malta, I want to say, and no one. And I was doing the announcing. I was like, "How do you pronounce his name?" No one had a clue. No one had a clue. So I just said it with enough confidence, and people sort of assumed that I knew what I was talking about. And Cheku and Diafra Sakho were watching the game with me, and they were brilliant. Honestly, they're just. I've had so much, and actually, when we used to do the player signings, sort of during Easters and summer holidays and open training sessions, Cheku was one of the last people leaving. He would sign every kid who wanted a signature. Absolutely wonderful man, beautiful.
So
man.
On that as well, I hate to bring him up again, but Jesse Lingard, my little nephew, is 6, and he queued up outside the ground to see all the players. And Jesse Lingard signs every single kid's book. He spends time doing it all. I saw something on Twitter the other day that it took the players like 90 minutes to get out. And he was one of the ones who made sure he signed them all, made sure he sees them all. So I am a little bit gutted with his injuries and stuff, because he was just starting to show that he could be the player we hoped he's going to be. But we might not see him on Saturday. And I watched back that goal against you from Man U the other season, and I thought...
Do you know what? There's certain things, right? And they're going to happen. And it's like, there's certain players who always score against you as well. So it's always like, for us, it was always Glenn Murray who used to score back against us, Neil Mopai, anyone from Brighton, basically, and Romelu Lukaku. And you could have, as soon as Jesse Lingard came on that day, you knew he was going to score the winner. You knew it. And it's one of those players that, on the channel, we say he who should not be named anymore, because it's
sorry.
Because for 18 months we were saying, he's going to come. He's coming in January. No. Man United. Okay, well, he's definitely going to come now, because we want to, he's still got his flat next in the same block as Davy Moyes, and just my rule. And actually, there's a few people who say it on Twitter and stuff. He's never fall in love with a lone player.
Yeah.
Never.
God, we've had that. Jed Spence. Yeah,
Kid
we don't.
Spence,
Well, we've
yeah.
got like 5 of them from last season who never came back.
Well, that's it. You know, someone like him. You know, look at. I mean, he's gone to Rennes, hasn't he, to get some game time, which is absolutely ridiculous because Spurs won't deal with us, and we wanted to have a cheeky loan bid.
Oh,
for him.
he'd have been brilliant. He would.
Exactly, and Spurs never deal with us. Daniel Levy doesn't like us. We don't like them either. So, but Dej Spence, great player, superb player for you last year. And I mean, how many of the promotion side are still active?
3 mainly. So McKenna when fit, but he's unfortunately got an injury now. Yates, who's been injured recently, but he is coming back now, and we're all so happy about that because he is like Mr. Forest. And of course, Brennan Johnson, who, if he's fit, he'll play 90 minutes on Saturday. And he is the absolute key, one of the keys to this team. He really is. His raw pace can get us out of so many little sticky situations and create things when it's so hard to create in this league.
Yeah, he's a great player, isn't he? He's a great player. So, someone we were looking at. I think obviously if he hadn't gone up last season, I think he'd been playing in the Premier League regardless this season because I think he really is the next one on the production line. And obviously we played you guys back in August. It seemed. I think it was August. Yeah. The first game back in the top flight for you guys for ages at City Ground. So of course you were going to win because it was just a West Ham thing. Great game though. It was a great game. Obviously 1-0. Teu, I love Teu on it. I thought he's like the Antonio. I thought he was going to be a fantastic player for you guys. I thought he was really good. Obviously 1-0. I think Deck missed a penalty, couple of VARs, and I think basically our season sort of curtailed from there. To be honest, just deteriorated. But I mean, where you guys have said at home, fantastic record, but away not so. Why do you think that is?
We've scored 3 goals away from home all season.
Welcome to West Ham. There we go.
This is what I'm trying to do.
Well, basically, that's what happens. So we had Kendall, the Newcastle fan. She's brilliant, Kendall. So we had Kendall on saying she's like, "Oh well, Callum Wilson hasn't scored. He's not very well. Literally took him 2 minutes to score against us. So welcome to London Stadium, Nottingham Forest. We're definitely going to score."
I don't know what it is. So our first home game, obviously against you, the crowd, everything, the occasion got us through it. The Everton first away game, we scored late on. I thought, God, we're going to win this. And we drew in the end. They scored a later equaliser. And then it's been so hard. Sorry, Newcastle was the first away game. And that was an eye-opener. That was seeing, guys, is this what Premier League teams are like?
It was an eye-opener because you're right at the top as well. So it's
yes, awful. I've been before because you forget they've been rubbish.
Hold your horses, Greg, because you're going to come to London Stadium on Saturday. It's almost like carrying.
However, that made me realise, God, I've watched 23 years of League One Championship, which I've loved. I've had some great times. But the difference in pace is frightening. Until you've been in those divisions, you don't realise it. And I just think the way we've set up away from home, it's hard. It's hard to figure each team out. There's so much quality there. You can't go with a fixed plan each time. And Everton, I think it was more, whenever we seem to get a loss, we always seem to respond. Yeah. So Everton seemed to be like the response to the Newcastle loss. We've had some really bad ones, which is why the goal difference is bad. The Arsenal away 5-0, Man City 6-0, Leicester 4-0. That Leicester game was the one where I thought, oh my God, Cooper's going to go and it's not looking good for us at all. But we're learning, and we had the massive result against Southampton away, followed by a draw with Bournemouth as well. And I thought, right, we might get something, but we still haven't had that. You could argue and say Southampton were at their worst when we played them, and we almost went there expecting to win. And we haven't had that what's the word, memorable away day yet. That real, Am I doing it right?
Oh, Greg, God bless you. No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Obviously, as I said, we've had a few relegations, a few promotions, and it's that first season. It's like it's the first, particularly for you guys. You said 20 years out of the top division. It's like you go into Man City, and you're not having to play in, go to Rotherham. It's a different thing, and it's like, and I totally understand. I mean, but then look at but your home. It's your home form, isn't it? That's what they say, isn't it? For promoted clubs, it's the home form that keeps you up. And obviously, drawing with City the other day, that was amazing. It was amazing for you. It was like everything that went against every possible result went against us last week, including our one against Spurs. But you picking up a point, obviously. Southampton beating Chelsea at home, away rather, but I mean, great game for you, against City on last weekend.
We were my mate in front, and I wish he wouldn't do it. He's got the scores in his hand, and I'm looking over his shoulder, and I was thinking, surely not. Southampton still winning, and then every single team, obviously other than like Leeds at the time, thought this is ridiculous, and I think that's part of the reason why when we scored it was so special. I've said previously on another thing that that draw against Man City to me was bigger and a better feeling than beating Liverpool.
Yeah,
because these are the best players in the world we were watching. It was Haaland's, De Bruyne's. This is why we got promoted, to watch this team, but not really expect to get anything, and to score so late on and that stadium erupt like it did, and even VAR didn't ruin it, which we all kind of expected, was just, I hope the thing that really gets this like machine, this Forest machine moving.
Yeah, I think it's so tight down there. I think it's something like, it's 6 points between. No, it's not. It's say we're on 20 points, we're 18th, and it's 6 points, to Crystal Palace. It's so tight down there. But as you said, I think it's. Well, I'm hopeful there's 3 worse teams than us this season. I think there are. But I think for me, I think you guys are. I think you guys will do all right, because I think you've got that home advantage bounce. So I go back to the last season at the Bowling, where we totally outperformed where we probably should have been, but because it was the last season at the Bowling, it was the last time we're going to play Arsenal, the last time we're going to play Liverpool at the Bowling. So naturally, it was almost like a FIFA attribute cards. Everyone had a +5 or a +10, and it's the same with you guys with that crowd behind you, that City crowd. As you said, the first time that Man City's been there for God knows how many years, and so on and so forth. I think there's enough there, and as you said, the only trouble is you can't buy more players now until
we did try to get one.
Yeah, he did try. Yeah, he did. I know he did try to get another one to make it.
We got Ayew in about a week after somehow, but and the squad, the 25-man squad thing, it's a killer. It really is, without injuries in certain positions. But there are players coming back off the injury table now, thankfully. So as long as they get in, they'll be all right. But I just think the home form now, it's a belief. Yeah. We drew Chelsea, we beat Liverpool, we drew against Man City. Yeah. We're looking at the fixtures thinking, God, what a horrendous running. But Arsenal, it might be the case that Arsenal are going to win the league at the City Ground, and we're trying to play to stay up, and we'll believe that we could get something, and that there's that genuine belief there now with every single fan in the ground.
It's one of those things. I think with sort of the newly promoted teams, it does seem to be there's always one that does outperform. So that's Fulham. Fulham always outperforms. Then one does well, and then one struggles. And I think Bournemouth are the struggling team. I think you've got the guys that can do well. And I think Fulham are ones who overachieve the next season, maybe second season syndrome. But as you said, you've got so many players out at the moment, isn't it? You have a lot of players. I didn't realise how many it was. I think there was, where was it? I put a list together. Where was it? Where's it gone now? Typically, I can't find it. But you had quite a few out. Bless you. And he just said centre-back wise, you've got 2 fit centre-backs. That's 2 more than we had, to be honest, about 3 or 4 games ago, to be fair. And Moyes would still probably put Skalmaka in there instead of, one of the kids. But, and obviously you've got, the last year as well. Last year I'm watching the FA Youth Cup quarter-final. West Ham were playing Ipswich today. But obviously last year you were in the final, weren't you? The under-18s against Man United. So, to me, there's obviously some good youngsters coming through into hopefully into the first team for you guys.
Every season there seems to be 1 or 2 come through. I don't know how that will change now being in the Premier League, but the Ryan Yates, the Johnsons, the Worrells all come through the system. Players that are playing in the Premier League now for other teams like Matty Cash, and we seem to be getting them through. And our neighbours, the Leicester, who've got one of the best academies, currently in the country, and we seem to be outperforming them academy-wise. And I don't know if our Cat One's secure yet. It was on like a temporary basis, and it's critical that we keep that. I'm not sure how our Greek owners work it with Olympiakos. I'm not sure if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I don't think they don't see the academy as important as maybe I would.
Yeah.
And I mean, the players they bought, obviously, it's been incredible, but nobody, like, you just want to see one of your own make it, don't you? It makes it's so much more special.
Totally, and that's a huge thing. That's a huge issue at West Ham at the moment. Is there's no. Obviously, we've got Declan Rice, who obviously came through. We bought him at 13. We came in at 13. Ben Johnson, but that's really it. And there's a lot of good players under who have left. So Harrison Ashby left to Newcastle. Sonny Perkins went to Leeds, and a couple of others went. So there's this perception that Moyes isn't playing the youth, and to be honest, it does play itself out. Really, he tends to play him when we're playing in the Europa Conference dead rubber games and things like that. But you're totally right. I mean, we've got the 18s, look like a fantastic group, and hopefully we might start seeing some of them in the next. The thing is, you can't judge it until it's 2-3 years and they've got 50, 60 appearances under their belt, really.
And you need a cup run, don't you? Like you just said, you've got the Conference League, but you need these early games, League Cup games, and FA Cup if you're lucky. You need them to blood these players in, get them used to it.
Totally, and I think that's the trouble. We haven't had. Typically we have always quite a difficult cup run. We've got Man United in the 5th round, which is I think we've drawn one of the top 6, something like 10 out of the last 16 cups or something ridiculous like that. We always get them. So you're totally right, and it's like I think under Moyes' tenure, I think he's given 16 academy players a first team debut. Only one of those was in the Premier League, and actually, is only one of them, I think, or one or two of them have made a Premier League appearance afterwards. So that's the next step, isn't it? But as you said, with someone like your owners, they'll go and buy someone rather than necessarily maybe lead them through. And again, it's a different opinion, isn't it? As you said, it's they come from a different setup, and he's a hell of a character, your owner, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I like him. He's changed our city, forever. Really, the way things have happened. We've had some. Well, I say some. We've had a terrible owner in Fawaz Al-Ghazawi. He promised the world. He didn't. He did not know how to run that football club at all. It was horrendous. And luckily, when the fans turned on him, he went, "I don't like this at all," and sold, which is rare. So,
very rare. Yeah, it's very rare.
The good thing about Marianakis is he's delivered on everything he said. He doesn't speak often at all. But he said he wanted to get us promoted. He's done that. He said on the balcony when we were celebrating, we're not just here to, have a season. We're here to get up, and he even mentioned Europe, I think. So that's how I've gone from now. I'm like, well, when we're getting Europe.
Yeah, come on, Jesus! You're not that far off European spaces, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, it's quite close in this league, but But I think that's the thing. As I said, there's these two schools of thought in it. You just one is you keep the team that you come up with, and if you go down, you go down, but you yo-yo. But I think you've gone out and bought a shed load of players, and some might not work. Some might move on. Some might you loan to Olympiakos.
Yeah,
a bit weird, but it doesn't matter. And see what happens. You've gone for it, and I think it's shown that it can play off. I think if you do that.
The money coming into the Premier League now, I genuinely think if we'd have left it a season or two further, it'd be almost impossible to get up. Yeah. Because now they're dropping down like ours. Our owner's a very, very rich and successful man, and he bought a Championship club. And there's going to be more of them doing that now. So it's just going to get harder and harder. And the way the points are shared down the bottom of the Prem at the minute, it's not like many other seasons I remember. And
no, you're right. There's not really one that's drifted out. There's usually one or two. I mean, I did something like at Christmas, who's at the bottom of Christmas, and looked at, and I think it's like 2/3 of the clubs that are in the bottom 3 at Christmas go down. But then, unlike other seasons, it's so bunched up that there's usually one team that dropped, like a Watford or a Derby, who literally just break away from the pack, but no one has. I
think I was listening to the radio earlier, and they were saying, I think they used Palace as the example, where they're on a similar amount of points as they were last season. Yeah. Only last season there was something like 13 points clear of the drop, and now they're like, I can't remember the numbers exactly, but it was an eye opener when you heard it, and you just realise that it's one hell of a season to be thrown in for your first one.
It's gonna be really fascinating these last sort of 15 games. I think there's lots of points to play for, and some teams have flipped their manager twice. And as you said, there was one point where you might have thought that Cooper was going to get the sack, then they offered him a new contract.
Yeah, I didn't want it for 1 minute of my life, but I was convinced he was gone, and I wasn't even upset that it was Leicester that beat us. I was just gutted that felt like the nail. And although we knew he was building on something, we knew he was so close, and just shows like every so often if you stick with him, see what happens.
That's it. That's it. West Ham, though, isn't it? It's like, I mean, to be honest, we go into the game on Saturday, and it's another make or break game. Apparently, the Everton game a few weeks ago was make or break. We won that, and apparently this game is a make or break. So it's going to be interesting, I think, from a fan's perspective, particularly maybe if Forest come out the gates early, maybe if they get a goal, what's going to happen fan wise? I think it's going to be the fans will support the team, no doubt about it. 60,000 fans there be supporting the Hammers, but if you guys come up the traps and get an early goal, then it's going to be a bit spicy.
I think we'll know that as well, because even watching Sky Sports News earlier, like filming from your training ground and saying about how the players look up for it, I thought they're just throwing the ball to each other. But
how does that?
They were filming from about half a mile away, but you could tell the media are building it up now, and I hope that works in our favour, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It's a game plan for you guys. I mean, straight away there's a game plan for you guys to come out of the traps early, quieten the crowd, or get the crowd turning against us, and that's it. It's not rocket science.
Yeah,
it's quite. And actually, to be honest, I think a lot of teams, maybe not necessarily the Man Cities of this world, but sort of the mid to lower table teams, quite enjoy kind of West Ham at the moment, because it's not because we're not playing very well, and we're playing the same way maybe we played for the last couple of years. It's quite easy probably to predict what we're going to do. Maybe there might be a change this Saturday. I doubt it. It'd be nice to, because we've got a fully fit squad, but I don't really think so. But I think, as I said, you better get your pedometer on, because it's a hell of a walk from the station. Is all I'm telling you. Don't give it 5 minutes to walk. It's going to be a 20-minute walk at least, 20-25 minutes from the station. Just warning you. You might think Stratford is all nice, but yeah. And get used to the stop-go signs. That's one of the major frustrations of West Ham fans.
As long as we find a nice pub, we'll be all right.
Yeah, there's not many. We put that. There's not many away-friendly pubs, I think, in the vicinity. To be honest, I think your best. To be honest, your best bet is, because it's so well connected, is probably to go to into town or to and then just get the tube in. Because it's like it's only a couple of spots, but stuff. Anyway, we can talk about that later. I can give you some. So obviously, from your side, Brennan Johnson is one to keep an eye out. Obviously, Chris Woods always fucking scores against us as well. I just realised that.
Brilliant, that's good.
Always fucking
good to
scores.
hear.
Yeah, exactly. He's another one. He's another bloody Glenn Murray.
He's just found his feet as well.
Oh, fucking hell.
We were. I was at slating him, but he was getting some stick. He was on loan, and the trigger to sign him permanently was start 3 games. So he started 3 games. He was getting a bit of stick for them 3 games. So I don't think a lot of the fans saw much.
Yeah.
And then, so he signs the £15 million deal, and he scored against Man City. So best thing since sliced bread now.
Fair play. Yeah, he's one of those really annoying players who, I think there's certain types of players, I call them bastard players, where when they're not playing for you, they're a bastard, but if they're playing for you, you love them because they're a bastard. And he's a big lump, and he'll just and he'll bash people about. Obviously, we might have Kurt Zuma back in the side, so it'd be quite interesting to see him.
Yeah, because they've got previous, haven't they?
They've got previous, yeah. So might mean we drop maybe Bonner and he comes into the centre. So it's going to be an interesting game to see what happens. But there's still a lot of unknowns, because, as you said, some of the players haven't played most of the season.
Can I ask you a question about, will Antonio play, or is he injured? Or
Antonio, right? When Antonio's been playing, when he plays really good, he then gets injured. So so he hasn't been playing very well. He's one of those players. It's really funny. For for like, I mean, during the January transfer window, I think Wolves were looking at him. I think you guys were looking at him, bringing back an old boy. Obviously, we bought him from you like 8 years ago, I think it was, a long time ago. And I think Chelsea were looking at him. But when he's playing for you, he hasn't been playing very well, personally. I don't think he's been playing very well. He hasn't been given the service, granted. But Moyes likes playing him.
I loved him. He was one of my favourite players through those years, and I knew that he had to go because he was better than us at the time. He had to be in the Premier League. His strength, his skills, and he had the speed as well. So I'd be
skills not so much. So I'll be honest, skills not much. So I think he beats himself. I think the trouble is because he doesn't know what he's going to do next. The opposition don't know what he's going to do next because he doesn't know. I think he's not. He hasn't been as electrically quick as he usually is. He's not. He hasn't been. I don't know whether he's bulked up a bit too much recently or something like that. I can hardly speak myself, but but he hasn't. I mean, technically, he is our Premier League top goal scorer of all time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, 3.5 seasons ago, he was nowhere near it, and then he got pushed up front because obviously when he was from you guys, he was on the right hand side, and obviously we pushed him up front eventually, and he started to do the business. I think, by all accounts, Skamaka is back in training. Danny Ings is back in training, and there's calls from the fan base for them to both play, maybe at the expense of Antonio. I think Antonio is best suited as an impact player now. Like how Traore is at Wolves. With 25 minutes to go, if you have Antonio, you go, right, you can go absolutely sick for 25 minutes, and then you can imagine someone like Joe or Joe Worrell or something going, oh, fucking hell, just because he batters people. He does batter people. But we'll see. We don't know. I'd prefer him if he didn't, because I think we need more firepower, more, and I think Troy's because we've got Skamaka, he's been injured and stuff like that. Typically, like all our signings have been, but because he's by trade a striker, his movement is. You look at Antonio's now, and you think actually he isn't a forward, he isn't a striker, so to speak. He drifts out to the right hand side and he likes to cut in, and whereas Skamaka stays up front and gets into good positions. And I think that's you're almost comparing like for like now, but he'll get some game time, that's to be sure. If he's not starting, he'll be on in 60 minutes because that's basically what Davy Moyes does, regardless of who we're playing, what the score is. 60 minutes, 65 minutes, the subs come on. So that's pretty much written in stone, really. So you're saying about how some players don't change, some teams don't change how they play for other teams. I think sometimes that's us for a bit, to be honest, at the moment, regardless of what the score is. But hey ho. So Antonio, you worried about? Anyone else on the West Ham side you worried about?
No, Declan Rice. I've always. So my Munster Forest mate, we've got a Munster supporters branch, and he said, Jack Grealish ruins it for Man City next week, and Rice does for West Ham this week, because obviously they both ended up playing for England. So
exactly.
that did make me laugh. But I love Declan Rice. I love how he plays football, and he'd be one who worries me absolutely.
Well, I think maybe at the beginning, I think Rice has we've definitely in the last sort of few or 4 weeks tried to play like ultra defensive at the moment. So. Deck is doing probably the job he's going to do if he goes to Arsenal or Man City. He's not going to be the marauding midfielder. He's going to be the sitting in the back three, outside the back four. Just like defending, and that's what he's doing more of. So he's not doing as many of the marauding midfield runs, which we've quite enjoyed seeing. But it's been maybe a detriment to the solidity of the side. But everyone's calling. We need more pace. You mentioned you haven't scored goals. We haven't scored hardly any goals. We concede a lot. We don't score a lot either. So I think our goal difference is like -8 or something like that, and we're the bottom three. And I think you're like 20 or something like that. 20. So it's going to be an interesting game. What do you think? Realistically, you can, although this is a West Ham channel, if you think you're going to win, whatever. What do you think the result's going to be on Saturday?
I would absolutely love, and I'm usually super confident. I always said I'd love a 1-1 because, obviously I'd love to win, but I'd snap your hand off for a 1-1 now because it keeps you at the same distance for starters. Yeah. We're picking up a point away from home. We've got winnable home games coming up as well. Create a bit of an unbeaten run. It'd be fantastic. Obviously, the win, you give everything for that. But Give me 1-1 now, and I would take it. I'd snap your hand off. I've to an away goal as well. Would be amazing.
Away goal, yeah. Well, you probably will score because it's West Ham. So I'm just saying. Yes. Obviously, we need to win. For us, it's not a draw. We can't. We need to win particularly our home games. I think I mean, we've got to win. What are we on? 20 points. So we need at least another 18 points. So we need 6 wins, really, don't we? And I think we've got 6 or 7 home games. So we've got to win pretty much most of them. Christ, oh my God!
When you say it like that, you make you realise how hard it is. But I do think Leeds aren't looking good at all, and Southampton had the fluky win, and Bournemouth, I don't know.
So, that's the 3 I think are going down as well.
Yeah.
I think
I hope so. I'd love it. But...
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice. Although I quite like going down the south coast for an away day. Although you can never get a ticket at Bournemouth, it's such a small ground. But yeah, no, I think those. I mean, those are the 3 I thought were going to do. I always thought Everton had a bit enough in the tank to stay up.
Yeah.
And obviously with Dyche coming in, he's had one very good win. He had was it a draw or a loss, and then he had the Leeds game. But I think Leeds are pretty rudderless at the moment, aren't they? So although they signed,
they've got him. Yeah, they got the Watford guy.
Now. The Watford guy took him down as well. That's a good one. But no, anyway, Greg, where can people find you? So
Forza Garibaldi is our fan group. I do a podcast called Garibaldi Red, which is something I've really started to enjoy doing. And I'm Gerg Mitch on Twitter, so you'll find me talking nonsense about Forest most days.
It's all good, man. All good. And as I said, I wish you all the best after Saturday.
Yeah, good to speak to you.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway, guys, if you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a bloody good subscribe. Go and check out Garibaldi Red and obviously the website Forza Garibaldi as well. And check Greg out on Twitter, all that good stuff. Until next time, take care, my friends, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.